everyone, welcome to Backstory Sessions. I'm your host Matt. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey everybody, it's Kat, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Backstory Sessions. I'm joined today by my co-host, Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hey Kat, hey everyone, how are you?
Interesting episode today that we have. So we have Makenzie Phipps, and she actually is participating in an event that's coming up in June. And the interesting thing about it is that two former guests are also participating, and next week's guest on the podcast is participating. So isn't that pretty amazing?
Yeah, for sure. What is this event?
So it's the 41st annual Sunday Morning Country, and it's hosted by Brenda Lee at the Grand Ole Opry House.
Oh,
And
cool.
there's like probably 20, 30 artists. But I just found that interesting that, we have been honored to interview two of them.
Who are the two?
Yeah, Alex Miller and John Barry, if you remember.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have Mackenzie.
Yep.
Yay, Mackenzie, we're going to get to talk to today. And the next week's guest, Kelly Lang, she's also going to be there. So, that's really great that we've had, or will have had, 4 of the guests.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is this like a, since it's on Sunday, is this like a religious thing? Like a,
I think it is. I think that they do, perform, Sunday religious music.
Right.
And I know in past, because 41 years, that's that's a long time for an event. And I know Jeannie Seeley, she's been a guest, and we probably have interviewed other people also that have participated in it. So it's a really big event coming up.
That's cool.
Yeah, and Brenda Lee, obviously she's an icon, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's the Opry, so.
I know. It's, it'd be a great thing to go to. So if you're listening and you're interested in that, it's June the 11th, and it starts at 4:30 with the warm-up at 4. And you can get your tickets at the Opry box office.
Wait,
So.
I thought you said it was morning.
Yeah, but it's the country morning,
But
so
it
you
starts
go
at
to church
4?
Well, you go to church and, you go out to eat. You got to get your, Sunday after church meal in. And
Right,
then you
Cracker
go to
Barrel.
Opry and, have your Sunday morning country music show. I'm guessing it's going to last, several hours into the evening.
Yeah, it sounds like with that many people it will.
Yeah, so it's great. So I hope that we have listeners in that area, or that, that's far enough in advance that you can plan your vacation around it. If you're planning to go to Nashville, just, add that into your agenda.
Yeah, there
Great
you
tip.
go. Something to do on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, all day.
Or afternoon, I'm sorry.
Well, again, you got to go to church in the morning, go out and have your Sunday biscuits and gravy,
Yep.
all of that. So, sounds pretty cool to me. Now, Mackenzie, let's talk a little bit about her. She is a singer-songwriter from Virginia, and you used to live in Virginia.
I did. I lived there for like 3 years out near Dulles Airport.
Yeah, so, she is very talented. She has a very I think classic country kind of sound to her.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen a few of her videos. When you know when we were talking about interviewing her, I looked her up and checked out a few of her videos. She's pretty good. I mean, she's a great singer and definitely a good songwriter.
yes, and she covers a lot of songs too, but she also writes her own. And many artists, starting out, I think you have to have a certain number of covers of songs because you want people to be
Yeah, it seems that way.
familiar, feel they're familiar.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. She's big on
Um,
social media too, isn't she?
yes, very big on social media. She works very hard on there to get her music out, and she's been successful at it. And she is covering Lacey J. Dalton, and I'm going to ask her about that because 16th Avenue is a classic song that really is really well suited to people beginning their careers
Hmm.
in,
I'm
in
not
country.
familiar with 16 Avenue. But
Really?
yeah,
Oh, you need to listen to it.
yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's a great song. And also, when you do check it out, in Mackenzie's, if you watch her video, um, Bobby Tomberlin, who was our guest before, he's sitting on the stage with Lacey J when they showed the little clip of her. So, yeah,
This
I
is
don't
this is like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
yeah, only a backstory session,
Right, yeah.
and I don't miss a thing. So, but I can't wait to hear his story. And when I say beginning career, people stay in careers like look at Brenda Lee. They start out young and they continue like throughout their whole life. So, Mackenzie is not like when we say, starting her career, like this is not day one of her career.
Yeah.
Uh, just that she's a young artist and she's out there doing her thing and doing really well. And I'm so happy that we have her as our guest today.
All right. Well, let's talk to her and see what see what she's got going on.
Yeah. Makenzie Phipps, I want to welcome you to Backstory Sessions. We are so excited to have you as our guest today.
Oh, well, thank y'all so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
So, Mackenzie, let's start a little bit with your backstory. You grew up in Virginia. Has that always been home?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm actually from a very small town in Virginia, Southwest Virginia, called Bluefield. And I've been here my entire life, the whole 21 years of it. And, I actually started singing when I was 4 years old. And I started singing in church with my mama. And from that point on, I was interested in the piano, and I learned that at age 10. I got my first guitar when I was 15, and I learned at that age. And ever since then, I've just been trucking along.
Okay, so at 4, you started singing in church, and was your grandmother musical? Did you grow up with a musical family, or was it mostly, just people singing at church or occasions like that?
Yes, so my mama, which is the one that got me into singing at church, she's on my mom's side. And my mom's side of the family, they've always been very into music. They would get instruments and they would just play by ear. I don't think they ever really took any lessons. And, my late Uncle Ronnie, he was really big into music, and he had actually written some songs for a couple of singers out there, like one of them being Johnny Cash's brother and Alison Krauss and Crystal Gale and so forth. So I was kind of always around music when I was younger, but I don't believe my mama could sing. She used to just take me to church every Sunday, and I'd be in Sunday school and they teach us little songs, and I'd go out to the piano and play by ear what the song was. And my mama had seen that I kind of had a knack for singing and just doing music in general, so she'd take me into the kitchen and I'd learn some songs to sing for Sunday service. And that's basically how I got started.
So did you then sing a solo during the service, or?
Yes, so I would sing just different hymns. I would sing some songs by the Crab Family, and I do just some kind of more modern songs, like I do Carrie Underwood's Jesus Take the Wheel, all that kind of stuff. And my cousin, she'd sometimes come up there and sing some songs with me because my mama always wanted to have both of us go up there and sing for everybody. But for the most part, I would just go up and I'd sing a song that I had prepared.
So did this, outside of your family members, were other members of the congregation, bragging on you or saying you seem to have a gift?
Yeah, so everybody in the church, they were very, very surprised because, when I was 4 years old, I was such a small little girl. I'm right now at 21 years old, 5'3". So when I was younger, I was quite small, and I was shy, especially when singing, especially like in front of family members. And that kind of started at a later age. But, whenever I'd go up and sing, I'd have people come up to me. My mom always say that the good Lord blessed me with this amazing gift, and that they were so shocked that such a big voice came from such a small body. And everybody there was very supportive, and they were very appreciative of me just going up and sharing what the good Lord gave me.
And did you have a favorite song that you remember from singing in church?
Like I said, I used to sing a bunch from the Crab Family, and I remember that I used to sing with my mama, and right now the song is completely crossing from me. But I did really enjoy singing a lot from the Crab Family.
Okay, cool. And so at school, when you started school, then did you have any opportunities there to be involved in music?
Yes, so all throughout elementary school, the elementary school I went to, we would have a music teacher come in ever so often during the week, and I never really got into singing much when I was in elementary school, but I know when I was in 4th or 5th grade, we had a professor from a college come in, and he did a children's choir, and they did little auditions just to see if kids could sing and would be a part of it. And my music teacher had gotten me to do that, so I was able to be in a children's choir that was taking place at a local college down here. And then when I entered middle school, that's where I met my choir teacher that I would have for the next 6 years. So I had her from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade, and that's where I met her a lot. And I was really into music and so forth.
So were you still having opportunities to perform solo, or were you mostly just part of choir or group activities in music at this point?
Yes, so whenever I was in the children's choir, it was a bunch of kids from all different kinds of counties around my area. So I would sing with the choir there. And then when I got to middle school and high school, I would have just normal choir, and then I would have show choir. So normal choir was just learning about music and so forth, and we'd have singing projects every day, and I would sing by myself for the most part. And then I would have the show choir, which was me and just a select few of individuals that my teacher felt were good enough to be in a choir, and we would all sing along together. And I also did a musical. Well, I did 2 musicals while I was in high school. So I got into performing arts a little bit while I was in high school.
Great. So were you coming out of some of the shyness at this point, or?
Yes. So, when I was really shy, I don't even know why I was shy. It just happened. But when I was younger, my family, they always asked me to sing. And this was probably before the age of 10. They always asked me to sing, and I was like, no, I don't want to, because I was a little bit of a hard-headed kid. So I was like, no, I won't. And then I'd go in a corner and I'd sing to everybody. But, I really didn't start opening up singing out to people until I got into 4-H, which was also an elementary school. And they'd have talent contests, which was Share the Fun. and I'd go in and I would audition, and I had done 4-H in 4th grade and 5th grade, and I'd made it to the semifinals and so forth. So that was a very good experience for me to be able to get out and actually perform in front of people.
So at what point was it that you thought, hey, maybe this is going to be a career for me instead of just, something to enjoy in social situations or whatever?
Yes, so jumping forward to when I was 14 years old, I had attended a music school down in Princeton, West Virginia, because where I'm located in Virginia, I'm on the Virginia state line. And there was a music school, and I had went there, and they primarily taught kids, basics on instruments. That's where I learned how to play guitar. And they would do other instruments like ukulele, guitar, vocal, so forth. And they had a select few people from the school that would be in a group, and this is where they kind of taught people they taught the kids how to go out and perform in public. We would go into competitions and just get used to performing out live and for people, and they would teach you how to grow your social media pages and so forth. So that's kind of at the age where I started getting involved in just performing out at places. So I started doing shows when I was 14 years old, and that's kind of where I was like, okay, this is what I would like to do for a living. This is what I really enjoy doing. So that's just kind of the age I started at.
So at 14, you're thinking that. Is anyone telling you like, okay, well, you probably need a backup plan, or
Yes.
is everybody like very supportive of this dream for the career?
Get that a lot, because it took a while for some of my family members to really understand that music for me wasn't just an expensive hobby. It was something that I was about and something that I would love to make a living out of and that I really enjoyed doing. And all throughout school, I always had relatives being like, your music's great. Are you planning to go to college? Are you planning to get a full-time job? What are you exactly doing? And, I did attend college, and I graduated with my associates in general studies music. And I just really enjoy what I do with music. And I think, here lately, the last couple of years, they have came around to realize that this is actually what I do for a living, and this is what I do enjoy doing.
Yeah, because it does seem like in the arts a lot that people think, okay, well, you could be a music teacher or, some career like that, but they don't necessarily like encourage people to seek out performing. So I was just curious, like how much support that you had initially for that, especially at 14, when that's pretty young age, I think, to for most people to even think about their careers, period. So that's really cool. This school that you went to, or the program at West Virginia, how did you find out about that? What is that called?
It's called Stages, and it's just a small music school down in Princeton. And I had found that out from a girl that I had went to school with who had actually been going, and she had talked to me about it. So I had went and got introduced to everybody, and from that point on, I just continued for a couple of years, just getting my foot through the door.
So what is the business side of it like? We've heard a little bit of the talent part that you naturally had, but what's the other part that we don't necessarily see that you have to do in order to become building, I guess, this career?
Yes, well, at that music school, we had learned about how to grow our social media pages. And when I was 14, the big page that I was primarily focusing on as far as platforms go was Facebook. So I had created my own Facebook page that was music oriented, and I would invite some of my friends to come and like and follow it, and I would post videos ever so often. And I never really posted too much of my music stuff on Instagram, because back then Instagram was just kind of I'm going to post what I did today, or I'm going to post a picture of my food and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, TikTok didn't exist at that time. So,
Right.
you know, I worked so hard, especially from 14 to now 21 years old, you know, 7 years later. I have worked really hard to grow my social media platforms, and Facebook is the one platform I have that has the most followers on it. I have 41,000,
Right.
and it shocks me every day that I always have new people getting on my page. And, you know, I always call them my friends because I never like calling them followers because, you know, without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And, you know, a lot of times, especially when I was in school, a lot of my peers really didn't understand what all did go into my music because, you know, I would have to check out early from school sometimes to go home and get ready for shows. And I'd have to pack up all of my equipment, make sure I had everything ready, just everything like that. And nobody really understood it. So that's why I'd actually written a song, and it's called Behind the Scenes. And I had talked about just basically the whole premise of it is talking about even outside of music. I feel like a lot of people will be able to relate to it in their own way because it's basically talking about people see the overall picture, whether it's music, it's sports, anything like that, but they don't see what all kind of hard work was put behind it. You know, all of the struggles and the hardships and the days you wake up and you're like, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to do this another day, or, oh, I don't think I'm doing the best job that I could be doing, and fighting all of those inner battles. But, you know, you have to overcome all of that to get where you need to be.
So what is the most challenging part behind the scenes for you?
Well, you know, running my own business is definitely one thing because, you know, I started my business when I was 19, and just trying to learn everything about that. You know, my mom helps me with that, and I have some relatives that are into the business atmosphere, and they've helped me with that quite a bit. But trying to just understand everything involved with that, I would have never imagined that I'd be doing at this age.
Sure. So when did the songwriting start?
Yeah, so I actually wrote my first song when I was 14 years old, I believe. And I had
What was
written
it
it
about?
in, well, I'd actually wrote that song in a skating rink. And, you know, when I was in eighth grade, I had really liked this boy, just like every other teenage girl. I had liked this boy, and, you know, I was head over heels for him, and he wasn't for me. And we broke up, and I thought my whole world was coming to an end. So I wrote a song about that, and it was actually called My One and Only. So I still have people commenting on that song today, and I'm like, oh, Lord, the teenage years.
Does he know about it?
Yes, yes, he does. We had actually, we had dated in eighth grade, and then a couple of years later, we'd actually gotten back together our junior year, and then our paths just didn't mesh like they should have, so we just decided to part ways. So
Ah,
he did know about that. But those were the teenage years of thinking that your life was completely ending because
sure.
some person broke your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that you may feel that way many times in life. So that, that's probably why people still comment about it, is that it's a relevant topic as people divorce or spouse dies or whatever happens and throughout life. So, um, did you like songwriting as much as music?
Well, you know, as far as for me with songwriting goes, you know, I've recently been getting more into it because, you know, when I was 14, I'd written that song, and then I don't think I wrote my next song till a couple of years later. And, you know, I'm one of those songwriters that write about personal experience,
Okay.
and I have to write about something that holds some sort of relevance to me. So it takes a bit for me to be able to find a topic to write about, but I'm getting more into it every day. But, you know, I really enjoy music altogether. You know, I love hearing other people's songs. I love hearing what kind of lyrics they put in it. Some are very clever, some are very simple. that's what I just love about music, that it's all different and unique in its own way.
What kind of stuff do you listen to?
Oh, well, I listen to a bunch of everything. My playlists can go from listening to Ashley McBryde and Luke Combs to listening to some more rock side of things. Like I love listening to Green Day and Panic at the Disco. And then you can get into Broadway, and I listen to Phantom of the Opera and Wicked. I listen to pretty much everything.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure it was like all country or.
No, when I was 14, I really hadn't decided what genre I wanted to be in because, I guess for the longest time, I enjoyed listening to all of these different songs. And, when I was 14, I hadn't learned the guitar yet.
Right.
I would just do shows with my piano. And I'm so glad I learned the guitar because it was a pain having to carry that piano everywhere. I carried a keyboard everywhere I went. People, they'd pass me by and they'd be like, "What the heck isn't that thing?" And I'd say, "Oh, don't mind me, just walking around with a body. It's fine." Because it was like double my size. And at my shows, I used to sing a bunch of stuff. I used to sing some Loretta. I would sing some Avril Lavigne, Demi Lovato, Adele. I do a bunch of stuff. And I really didn't start marketing myself into country till I was maybe about 17, 18 years old. I never wanted to really be put into anything because, I love all different kinds of music. But as I got older, people were always saying, you kind of need to pick what route you want to go with music. And all of my family and friends and everybody like that, they had just talked about I seemed to sing country music the most natural. It came to me the easiest. And I have the twang and everything like that.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go into country and see how it goes. And if that don't go well, then I can find a different genre. But so far, it's been doing well.
Well, I think with your roots, with church, like beginning there, like a lot of country music artists do begin there. So it does seem like kind of a natural path for you. Who are some of your favorite country artists now?
Well, my biggest idol is and always will be Miss Loretta Lynn. And the good Lord decided to take her from me on October 4th. So I'm still holding him to that. But I loved everything about her. She was the very first person I ever started singing. I'd be going around my little trailer singing, "You're looking at country and you ain't woman enough to take my man." So I will forever and always love Miss Loretta. But as far as the individuals who are alive and still thriving, I absolutely love Ashley McBryde. I had actually went and seen her perform at the Ryman last week while I was in Nashville.
Oh, wow. How was that?
Performing her new album, Lindyville. And I just love everything about her. I think she is an amazing performer. She's an amazing songwriter. And, one thing me and my mom had always talked about was, she never gave up. And, that's one thing that people I feel struggle in the music industry. And, I've been guilty of it. Is just, it's like my friend always says. He always says, it's easier to just give up than to keep working.
Mm-hmm.
And that couldn't be farther from the truth. So I just wake up every day and I go to bed every night and I pray to the Lord that the next day will be easier.
So, what was the first big break that you had? You're like decided at 14 you want to do this, and you continue along the plan that you've made. So what's the first big break where you feel like, okay, this has definitely moved me to the next level?
Ooh, that's a great question. Now I gotta recollect all the 7 years since then. Let's see. So
didn't you have a video that went viral or a cover?
Yes. So I did have a video that went viral, but as far as before that, I think, when I was in that music school and I was 14, 15 years old, I had went and competed at my first big competition, I'll say that, and it was the North America Country Music Association International that was held in Pigeon Forge at the Country Tonight Theater, and I had entered it, and I had won an award for that. So, and it was Future Star Tomorrow.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. And then after that, when I did start when I was 14 years old and just going from 15, 16, 17, 18, I hadn't done too much in regards to trying to really make it into a full-time career because, I was still tackling school, out tackling just hanging out with friends, personal life stuff, etc. And when I was 18, I, had been doing social media stuff and I'd been posting quite often. And, my backup singer and guitarist, Shane Begley, he had mentioned, why don't you do a hymn on your page? And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And I was trying to think of what kind of hymns I had done when I was younger. And, I love my mom all to death. And she is one of my biggest supporters in the world and still is. And she loved Amazing Grace. So I was like, I'm going to do a video of me doing Amazing Grace. And I'm just going to put it up on social media. And I had put it up. And at this time, I had been working a little bit with Country Rebel. They had seen some of my videos and I'd submitted some and they had put me on their page and they would actually share my content pretty much once a week. And that's what got me into posting once a week. So that really helped my social media platform. So I had done Amazing Grace and I had sent it and they put it on their page. And in 2 weeks, it had surpassed 1 million views.
Wow.
And that was incredible to me at 18 years old. I was like, wow, I have over 1 million people watching me. And from that point on, just videos in general, I would do some and some would get over 100,000 plus views. Some would get below 100,000 plus views. You just never really knew. But that's really kind of what got me more into social media, that got more people introduced to me. Because Country Rebel it's the world's largest country music platform. They have they may be at 8 million now. I know at the time when I was working with them, they had 7 million, and now they're up to 8.6 million followers.
Wow.
And I was very appreciative and still am to this day for all that they've done for me. But that was definitely probably the one thing that was like, okay, I think we can do something.
Yeah. And so besides the posting, are you very interactive with your with the people that your fans that are on your Facebook and social media pages? Did they comment? Do you comment back?
Yes. So there was at a point where people could comment on my posts and I would be able to comment back to all of them. I would always say thank you. But now that my audience has grown, it is fairly difficult to say thank you to 100, 200, 300 people on my page. So what I always try to do is whenever I post something, I always go and I heart every comment I get, because although I cannot comment to every single person, I want them to know that I'm acknowledging that I appreciate them supporting me and taking the time out of their day to write something nice and complimentive, or it could be even a constructive criticism comment. So I always like to be sure that I react to their comments in any way, just to let them know, hey, you are seen. I have seen what you have put, and I appreciate it.
Those constructive criticism ones are always great, aren't they?
Oh, they can get you.
Yeah.
But what people I don't think realize is there is a fine line between constructive criticism and being rude.
Yeah, of course.
There is a fine line. And, there are some people on my page, and they've been supporters of me for a while, and I'm able to see who they are. And sometimes they'll give me a critique. They're like, oh, this was a beautiful song. It was a little bit loud. The vocals, I couldn't really hear the guitar. Maybe next time play a little louder, don't sing as loud, so forth. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll definitely keep that in mind, and so forth. And then you have the other people that's like, she just can't play the guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well,
yeah,
thanks. But, I really do appreciate the individuals that do take the time to give me some kind of constructive criticism feedback, because you can only get better. That's
Right.
how I see it. You know, there's going to be some days where you do something that's like an epic fail, but there's only one thing to do from that, and that's to move forward and get better from the situation.
Yeah, that's true.
So how do you like how much of your personal life do you share, or is it mostly you just stay focused on your music?
Like on my social media platforms.
Yes. Do people like want to know things about you personally, or
People can be quite nosy on my social media pages, but I have been fairly good at keeping them in the loop of stuff. And, you know, I do try to be very transparent with them. And, you know, I post all the time, just different events, or I'll do a live show and I'm like, hey guys, I'm just making some tuna salad tonight. Just wanted to hop on here and talk to all of y'all and talk about some things I got going on, and I'd love to hear what y'all are doing and so forth. And I'll post endless amounts of pictures of me and my cat. They all know who she is. They're like, oh, there's baby Raven. We all know her. So I like to be very personable with my audience because, you know, I don't want them to think that I'm just somebody behind a screen that just lives, eats, breathes, does everything music. I want to think that because, you know, although music is my primary source on social media pages, I like to show them, hey, I'm sick, or you know, I have bad days, or I'm tired, and all that stuff. I like to always let them know that, hey, I relate to you.
yeah, that's probably something that you know, keeps your page growing, as they probably sense that you really are genuinely, you know, a real person that's they can connect with. That's very cool, I think.
A real person.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't want them to think I'm some sort of bot.
Yeah.
And
AI.
I'm just like, hey, y'all, it's Makenzie Phipps here. I'm doing another video for you. No, I like to get on there some days, and I'm like, hey, guys, I'm at Cookout right now eating a grilled cheese sandwich. Love this place. Yeah.
Cookout is pretty good.
so Mackenzie, you tour. You've got a lot of dates coming up. I had noticed. What's touring like for you? Do you like that part of it?
Yes, so you know, since I am in a small city down in Bluefield, I like to branch out to some sister states. So I like to go to Ohio, and I'll go to North Carolina, and I'll go to Tennessee, Ohio, so forth. So I just kind of, you know, me not having any shows a weekend completely throws off my schedule. Like tonight, it's a Friday, and I don't have a show because this week I have a show Saturday and Sunday. And I try not to do like 3-day shows back to back in a weekend because I do like to make sure that my voice is healthy and that I'm not overworking it, because I did have an instance one time where I had overworked my voice completely and I got laryngitis. So I try to really take care of my voice. But I really enjoy touring, and I really appreciate all the people that come out to specifically listen to my music or to watch me. And I'll have people say, oh, I can't wait to see you at so-and-so this weekend. And I look forward to being able to meet them. And it's just really fun.
Great. And so a lot of the people from your social media page will see you coming to some place close to them, and they'll come see you and live.
Yes, I post all of my events on my social media pages, and I'll post a monthly show, like tour schedule, so that people can see it and see if I'm in their area. And all of my events, as far as that have detailed information, are on my Facebook page as well as my website, MakenzeePhipps.com.
Awesome. All right. So I want to know about Lacey J. Dalton and how you met her. And I've got a lot of questions about this 16th Avenue that I think came out just a few days ago. But how did you meet Lacey?
So I met Lacey. The first time I actually met her was at the Grand Ole Opry. And this was when, so Scott from 2911, he had messaged me and he was like, Lacey, she just actually had her song 16th Avenue celebrate its yearly anniversary. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, I'd love to do a song. So I looked up 16th Avenue and I was like, I'm going to do a version of it and I'm going to send it over to Scott and see what he thinks. So I had done a video of it and I sent it to him and he was like, I'm going to send this to Lacey and see what she thinks. And I was like, okay, you can just let me know. And they had really enjoyed it. She really enjoyed that I kind of put a modern twist to it. And we were like, oh, I'd love for something to come about all of this. And Scott was like, well, you're going to be in Nashville, so why don't you go to the Opry with me and we can go see her? Because this was actually the night that she was going and performing on the Opry. And she hadn't performed in years. And she was performing 16th Avenue for her anniversary date. So I was like, okay, well, I can't wait to meet her. And that was the night that I met her, and we really hit it off from the start. She's just an amazing woman, and she's just so humble and kind and personable. And we had all discussed what we could do with the song. We were like, I think it would be cool if we could kind of bring both worlds together, a classic version with a modern version, so that all different kinds of age groups and individuals will enjoy it. And that's just how it got started.
Well, I really liked what she had to say about the song and, how, because that song really does speak to artists. And no matter, what time, if it was 40 years ago or now or in the future, it's just one of those kind of timeless songs that artists could relate to. And so I thought it was really neat how she was, saying that she liked your version and, how that she had such good wishes for that song in the future too, and to whoever may end up performing it at whatever time, because I could just tell that it meant a lot to her, and it must have touched you as well. What was it about that song that made you really want to take on your own spin on it?
Well, just talking about, I feel like a lot of people, if not a lot, all people who are into music can relate to that song, because just talking about back in the old days, that's how musicians got started. They'd go down to 16th Avenue, they'd go and perform, they'd live in their cars, do whatever they had to do to really get out there and try to get their name out there and get well known by individuals. And I just really related to that because it's just a lot of hard work being in this industry.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Loretta Lynn being one of your favorites, and which from her, like dropping off records at every radio station. Yeah. So you can imagine, what it's been like over time. Do you find technology has made it more convenient or a bit easier to get your music out there without having to drive to the radio stations and that kind of thing?
In a sense, because, I am still a fairly new artist, but I'm like kind of in the middle. Like a lot of people do know me, but a lot of people don't. And, I release these new songs and, of course, the big thing is social media, and you're on playlists and all that. And it can be quite difficult to get your music out there. So there are times that I do wish I could just ride up to the radio station and be like, hey, here's my new song. You should play it.
And they'd be like, who are you?
Yeah, so it's kind of just like, it's kind of a hit or miss. It's like right on the fence. It's like, it is a lot easier, but is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because while it's easier for a lot of people. So you have I would guess you have a lot more competition, simply because, people can, like anyone could make a Facebook page and start sharing the music or whatever. But doesn't mean it's going to be well received. But you still have that opportunity. Whereas it might have been a bit more difficult to, get from the radio station to radio station if you didn't have a car, or you didn't have gas money, or whatever. So it's interesting. I so you tell us about when you heard the song and you liked the song. How did you decide? How did it come to you? This is the arrangement, or this is a spin. This is how I want to make this song kind of my own version. How did you decide that?
Well, I had just listened to the song, and like I do all of my other cover videos, I just listened to it, and then I learned how to play it, and then from that point on, I just let my vocals do the rest of the work. I'll try some things out. If I like it, I'll put it in there, but if I don't, I'll just leave it out. But either way, it just kind of comes natural to however I would sing it, how I hear the artist sing it, and I just go from there.
Do you have a recording studio at home, or how do you do your recording?
No, I just record all of my videos on my phone and a tripod.
Oh, wow, cool.
I like to keep it all natural.
So, in 40 years from now, like, what song that you have written so far would you like someone to listen to and do their own spin on?
Well, the one song that I'm the most proud of writing is called Life's Game, and it actually won a Songwriter Achievement plaque back in October. And that song is the one song that I'm the most proud of writing because it is one of the most sentimental songs to me. And I actually wrote that about my mama. And, over the last couple of years, she has developed Alzheimer's, and has been a very difficult thing to deal with. And, I realized there's not many songs in this world that are subjected around that. And there's so many people in the world that go through that, whether it's with a loved one, a friend, anybody really. And I am hoping to really have some kind of big project with that this year. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it all works out. But that's the one song that I think it would be cool to see how that song touches other people. And I'd be interested to see how other people would sing that song.
So what are some of the lyrics for that song? It sounds very interesting because I really, I can't think of a song. Matt, can you, that takes on the topic?
No.
So the first verse, I say, you never know what it's like to lose a loved one. Instead of death, the good Lord keeps them here. You think all's fine and well, but the mind's already gone. There's nothing left but a memory that's been cleared. And then it goes, you take them out of the house for a nice evening. You do all the things y'all used to love to do. You see the changes happen, and it's hard to see them leaving, but you carry on because you know they'd want you to. And then the chorus just says, how in the world did this start? The one I loved is here, but not the same. The pain inside is tearing at your heart. I guess there's no winning life's game.
Wow.
Because the song is basically talking about, I've always heard a bunch of people say this, you can live your life the healthiest ever. Like, you could be as healthy as possible. You can do all the right decisions. But at the end of the day, the good Lord dealt you a hand of cards. And life is basically a game. You can make moves, and you can progress, and you can be winning the game, or you can make all the right moves and still end up losing.
That's
so
true, yeah.
In the end, in life, there's really no winning because, at the end of the day, we all do kind of leave and be with the Lord at the end. And like I said, you can do whatever you want to do. My mama, she was one of the best individuals in the world, and she still is to this day. And I don't think she ever would have imagined that she would have gotten Alzheimer's, as well as everybody else in the world who is suffering from it. But there's no winning life's game. There's no winning against this disease. Unfortunately, it is what it is. There's no cure for it, and I hope one day they do make a cure for it. But that's kind of just what I wrote the song about because, it is a terrible disease, and it really is terrible seeing the person that you loved. You see them, but it's not them.
Yeah.
I definitely think that song is so powerful, and I know a lot of our listeners have shared stories, and I know that they will look forward to being able to hear that, and they will relate to it, sadly. But wow, that's that's just having that voice, having that ability to convey that to other people and connect with them. I think I would like to hear in 40 years, what that would sound like as well. So what is next for you? I know you've got the tour coming up. You're going to be pretty busy for how long?
Well, I've actually booked out my calendar until the end of May, because at the end of May, June, hopefully, I'm going to be moving to Nashville. So that's going to be the next stepping stone for me.
Are you excited about that, or are you just kind of like, oh, God?
Oh, no, I'm excited. There are some aspects of it I'm like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But, where I live, there's nothing here that's going to help me progress in what I love doing, which is music. And I know that that's the place I need to be.
Yeah.
So...
Anybody you're looking forward to working with? I mean, I'm sure there's a long list.
Well, I would love to work with Ashley, and I'd love to work with Luke Combs and Miranda Lambert and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just have to see what the future holds.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. You'll have to come back and tell us about it if you do.
Yes,
definitely. All right, so social media, again, people can find you on Facebook very easily. Where else? Do you have a website? Where else can you look for you?
You can find me on Facebook at Makenzie Phipps. You can go to my website at MakenziePhippsMusic.com. Oh, well, sorry, that's my old website. My new website is just MakenziePhipps.com. I am on Instagram at Makenzie Phipps Music, and I am on TikTok at Makenzie Phipps Music.
Awesome. Well, Matt, this is quite an interesting career that she's had so far.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested in seeing where it goes next. How much touring are you doing? How many shows you got booked?
Right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have exactly 30.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Leading up to May.
Cool. And then what are you going to be, I mean, are you planning playing out in Nashville, or what are your plans when you get there?
No, so when I go to Nashville, I'll definitely be reaching out to places to find some booking inquiries, and I'll also be doing some different kind of media stuff, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Cool. Any video? You mentioned you had something that came out 2 days ago. What was that?
That was the 16th Avenue.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was in the songwriter.
Yes, I was an American songwriter.
Yes, so they did the debut, and it's a really, really good article. So I would recommend everyone reading that as well.
It is available on all my socials.
Awesome. And I know you said this, you've given little pieces of advice, but just for those artists out there, the 14-year-olds or the ones starting and singing in church, that maybe are going to go on to want to have music as a career, what advice would you give them?
Do not be afraid to fail. I held myself back so much at such a young age from being scared to take the next step due to fear. I was so scared of failing. I was so scared of doing something in potential that it could fail. Just do what you got to do. Do plans. If it ends up not being what you expected, it's a learning experience. And from that point on, just strive and persevere forward.
Now, see, I thought you were going to say, learn how to play guitar because it's easier to carry.
That's another tip.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest today, Mackenzie, and we have enjoyed your backstory and look forward to having you as a guest once you have, gotten moved to Nashville and all the great things you're going to have to tell us from that.
Oh, well, thank all of y'all so much for having me on here today. I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to speaking to both of you in the future.
All right. Come back anytime.
Well, thank you.
As always, if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can send those to Kat at iWritePlays@outlook.com, or you can write to me at backstorysessions@gmail.com or Matt at level11ventures.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.